Hey, today we're going to focus on navigation using iOS. So if you have already followed my previous tutorial where you get started and create the template from scratch, now we're just going to focus on iOS navigation. There's different ways of doing it. We're just going to dig into a few. So once you have your blank single view app, you'll notice that there's a main storyboard file. So by default, your app uses that for navigation. So if you say open with Xcode interface builder, it'll open your app in Xcode. So, and then you'll notice that it's just going to be blank. So if you stop and start, it'll just be blank. So it'll start like that. I'm just going to remove these. Stop. I'm just going to clean all to make sure everything's fine. And then I'm just going to press play. Okay. So yeah, it'll just start off blank, and then you can start off like we've seen this before where you can just add a label. So this time we're just going to make sure that it's centered because we can use different devices and their different dimensions. And then we're going to say hello. Hello. Okay, so notice how this is blank right now. I'm going to stop this and I'm going to press play again. It should show the hello there. And I'm also going to add 2 buttons. Yeah, notice how like it's saying hello, but like, you know, it's all the way up. So we're going to add dimension. So another constraint, we're going to say vertical spacing to top layout guide. So from the top, it should be this distance away. Okay, and then I'm also going to add a button. That'll be navigation style 1. I'm going to make sure that this is also centered. So I held control and I drag and I drop, and it shows me this option for center horizontally in container. And then I'm going to drag and drop to hello. I'm going to say vertical spacing from the hello. I'm going to add another button, put it here. I'm going to hold control, drag from the button onto just the body. I'm going to say select the option of horizontally, center horizontally, and then do the same thing, drag and drop onto the button, and say vertical spacing. So this one is going to be navigation style 2. And now I'm going to create outlets. So if you just basically be able to control this from your C# code behind. If you just tap that button, you press an assistant, it'll open up the .m file for this corresponding view controller, which is the implementation file. I'm going to switch it to the h file, which is the header file. And then I'm going to select each one, hold control again, similarly, but this time drag and drop to my header file. I'm going to say navigation button 2. Or second navigation button. That's probably better. And then for this, I'm going to drag, hold control, drag and drop here. I'm going to call it the first navigation button. Connect, and I'm going to select this, hold control again, drag and drop, and say hello label. And connected. Now, if you hit stop and start, you'll notice that it'll have all of those things. But more importantly, if you go to the ViewController designer file, you'll see that it automatically generated these objects. So what can you do with these objects that are generated? You can go over here and you can actually, inside your viewDid load, make changes to it. So hello label dot text, for example, is equal to goodbye instead of hello. And also for the first navigation button, set text, set title, because that's how you set the text inside a button. You can say first navigation button, okay, first navigation. And it takes 2 cases, so you go, it takes 2 parameters. So you set that for the normal state of the button. So if I press stop, I press start, it'll work. Anyway, this is basic stuff. You know this stuff. Now let's focus on the meat of it. So how do you set up actual navigation? So if you notice, it says goodbye instead of hello, and it says first navigation. If you want to navigate to another storyboard, another view controller in the storyboard, first of all, select outside onto the canvas, and then search for view controller. And over here, what you need to do, I mean, there's many ways of doing this. So the one way that we're going to do is we're going to call this second storyboard view controller, or second SB view controller, okay? And then we're going to press this arrow button, which is very important. So what it does is it automatically creates files when you tap that arrow button. And then not just that, you also need to add the storyboard ID, same exact thing. And then over here, you can add a label, and I'll just say second SB. Do the same thing, center horizontally, press the refresh button so it stays horizontal, and then go like that, vertical spacing to the top, okay? And I'm gonna add another button here. Navigate, center horizontally, and vertical spacing. Okay, refresh so it works properly. Okay, now hit save. What you'll notice is inside over here, it refreshes a little bit, and then you'll notice it automatically has generated these two files. So the designer file and the view controller. The designer file, again, you know, we forgot to set up the outlet, so I'm going to open the storyboard again. I'm going to make sure that there's an outlet this time. So if you go here, you selected that, you tap on Assistant again, and after it loads, it'll show you the second view controller. I just select the header file, drag, hold Control, insert another outlet for the button. So navigate button, connect. Now I hit save, now I close it. The navigate button will display. So now the challenge is, how do you move from the first view controller to the second view controller? So there's many ways of doing this. Earlier, you used to have to do it in the app delegate file. So you used to have to put this code. So this specific piece of code, you used to have to put it inside your app delegate file. But since iOS 13 onwards, iOS uses something called a SceneDelegate. So we don't put it inside the app delegate anymore. Instead, we go to the SceneDelegate, and here I'm just going to copy and paste the code. So view controller, SceneDelegate. Yeah, so inside your SceneDelegate, you have the will connect function. You just copy this code, and you know, it just basically says that you're using the main storyboard. So that's what the name of our storyboard is. And then we're saying, hey, let me fix this using Xamarin Navigation iOS. So it's saying that get the view controller from the storyboard whose identifier is view controller. Remember the storyboard ID that we put in? So we can either use view controller or we can use the second SB. So second SB view controller. So we can either make this the main one or this the main one. So let's, for now, for testing purposes, make this the main one. Okay, and over here, we're saying that the root controller is the navigation controller that contains this introduction VC. So you can set your root controller as just the introduction VC, but you won't be able to push or pop. You have to, in order to push or pop, just like in Xamarin Forms, you have to put it inside a navigation page or a navigation controller. So this should work. When I press stop, I press start. It should open the second SB view controller, which is just a blank page. Actually, no, we added some stuff, so it should appear. as you can see, it shows you the second SB. Okay, but you know, that's not what we care about right now. Let's go back to our view controller and make sure that it's inside a navigation controller. That way we can test it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to navigate this time. So this time what we did so far, we just only let's see, where's our Xcode? What is it telling us? So it's telling us that the storyboard ID has not been set properly for this view controller, and it's not able to find it. So we're going to go and dig and make sure that this has the storyboard ID. And notice it does not have the storyboard ID. So I'm going to put it in, you know, the same name over there. I'm just going to click away, hit stop, and press play, and it will actually work. Okay. Yeah, that's a very common issue, by the way, where, oh, what is it saying? Contain, we just did. Maybe it did not refresh. Let's see, open with. Did I? Yeah, view controller. Let me copy this. Let's see. I think I just have to clean all, perhaps. Okay, yeah, let me clean all. Press play. Yeah, there we go. So I just had to clean all and it started working. Now what I want to do is I want it to actually navigate. So I'm going to say that on tap of the button, so on first button dot touch up inside. That's what the touch up inside plus equals, and then I can just press the tab button and it gives me this. Okay, now I want to navigate to the second SB controller. So I can just say navigation controller dot push, because it's inside a navigation controller already, and then I can put in the view controller name and I can say if it's animated. But this view controller, it won't let me, because if you notice, there is no constructor. So we have to use the main storyboard in order to do the navigation. So I'm just going to copy that code over, and I'm going to say, so this is what the code that you need to use. So inside your view controller, you say bam, and here. So the storyboard is this, and then the view controller is just here, second SB view controller, and the storyboard ID is this. And now if I stop and I hit play, it should move over there. Yep, so I press this. Let me see what's up with that. Tap here, place a breakpoint. What is up with this? Let's see. It worked a few minutes ago. Let's see. Make key invisible. So is it inside a view controller? A navigation view controller. Let's see. So it's inside a navigation view controller and the root view controller. Okay. So I think I messed up over here. I forgot to erase this line, and I made it to where it's not inside a navigation controller. So it was not able to push anything. Now it should work. Yeah. So notice how you press play, and it actually goes here, and you can press back, first and back. And the back button comes automatically because we're using a navigation controller. So I'm just going to put titles. First And in the second, yeah, so over here, what you can do is you can add an override for ViewDidLoad. And here you can just say title equals second. And more importantly, what we want to try to do is that we want the navigate button, which button is here? So we added, oh, we did not add in an outlet for the button. So let's go back here, main storyboard. So go here, tap on this, say assistant, drag, oh, no. So change to the header file, add the insert, so it just says navigate button, say connect, and go here, make sure that it added the, let me close this, and there we go, it added the navigate button. Then for the navigate button, I just say dot touch up inside plus equals tab, and then over here I'm just going to say this dot navigation controller dot pop async pop view controller, and just pass in true so that it's animated. Press stop, play. So this is going to work. But now, what if you wanted to change the root view controller? In order to change the root view controller, here, let's see. Okay, that's all we need. So from here, I want to go to the third view controller, okay? And this view controller is different because it's not created through the storyboard. So I'm going to say add new file. Let's say it's a XIB. So I'm going to say call it a third view controller. Third view controller, say new. And notice how it is going to be a little different from the second view controller, because the second view controller has a constructor that only takes in the handle, but this one does not take in the handle. It's an empty, it takes no parameters in. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if you notice, it added a zip file. So if I wanted to change the design of this, I'd have to say open with Xcode interface builder. And I'm just going to choose iPhone 8. You can choose anything. Here I'm going to add a button and a label. So I'm just going to call it third. I'm not really going to set up the constraints this time. It's going to call it navigate. Similarly, I'm going to tap on assistant. I'm going to change this to the header file. I'm going to hold control on my Mac. I'm going to drag from the button just below there. I'm just going to say navigate button, say connect. Okay, so if I want to get to this page, all I have to do, so instead of going back over here, I'm going to say, hey, I actually want to navigate to the third page. So I'm just going to call it, hey, go from here to a third page, and I can make it either a navigation controller or not. And then I'm just going to hit save and press play. Oh, I missed this somewhere. Where did I miss it? Title. Okay, and notice that the third view controller is here. I'm just going to add a title that says third. Okay, it's just a mix and match of like different navigation styles. You can choose whatever. You don't have to. deal with XIBs, but it's just like, hey, if you want to go from a XIB to a storyboard file, that's exactly what you need to do. So I'm going from first to the second, as you can see here, and then I'm going to go from second to the third. And this, what it did, it erased everything from the navigation stack, and it made this the main stack, and it doesn't do anything because I didn't set it to do anything. But yeah, that's navigation on iOS in a nutshell, and how to work with XIBs and storyboards and everything. Notice the only difference really is that instead of the actual page itself, so instead of saying just the view controller directly, instead of calling that directly, over here we call the storyboard first, and then we say instantiate the view controller, and that's how we get the view controller for this case. There's two different cases, but the way you use it is basically about the same, where you just put it inside whatever you need to use it. Yeah, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments if you would like to see more of this.